I was never the delivery person when I worked at a pizzeria, but when the new guy called out on his second day, I had to take over for the night. It was a slow Tuesday night for delivery, so it wasn't too bad. I had a piece of shit car, so I in no way wanted to beat it around by delivering pizzas across town. I made 3 normal deliveries to normal people within 3 hours. The place closes at 9 on weekdays, so I estimated maybe 1 or 2 more deliveries for the night. I picked up the phone to a customer who sounded like the definition of a meth head. She had a raspy voice, she stuttered, she forgot what she was saying, she had long pauses in between her sentences. There was literally a 10-second gap between her saying, "Can I get a," and regular pizza. It took a really long time just getting the address from her. It sounded like she was asking someone in the background what the address was. Well, I was just so excited to meet these people. After she gave me an address, she hung up without me even telling her the price or how long I would be. 10 minutes later, I was on my way. We live in the middle of absolute nowhere, so each delivery was a bigger trip with a bigger tip. It took probably 10 minutes for me to get to the location. There was a long and dark gravel road through the woods and occasional trailer homes that I had to drive through until I finally reached their home. It was a trailer home, of course. The lights were off inside, but I can see the orange glow of a fire coming from around back, and I could hear a woman yelling at someone. When I shut the passenger door after grabbing the pizza, I noticed the curtains to one of the windows move. Somebody was watching me. I didn't know if I should knock on their door or go around back. It sounded like there was more than one person there, so I decided to just go around back. I greeted them, and they spun around faster than a bullet. They were disgusting. They looked like typical trailer trash meth heads. The woman looked at who I assumed was her husband and asked what I was doing there. He then scolded her, saying that she was the one who gave the address. They seemed to be standing close together to hide something behind them, and quite frankly, I didn't want to see what it was. I asked them if I should go around front, and they whispered something to each other. The woman pointed at me and told me to wait there, and that she would go get the money. She went inside. For the next 10 minutes, I awkwardly stood there, trying not to stare at the scary-looking guy who I know was staring at me the whole time. Finally, the woman emerged from the house and went back next to the man. She handed the man some money and asked him to count it. She whispered something after that. I was getting very nervous now. I felt as if they were trying to rob me or something. I wasn't stupid. The man started counting the money very, very slowly. And I mean really slowly. Like 5. 10. I kept my eyes on the woman. She was looking into the woods behind me, and then she nodded her head, staring off behind me still. And then I saw some huge guy approaching me with an axe in his hand. I flung the pizza box at him, trying to slow him down, and somehow it worked. Or maybe he just didn't chase me. I didn't care at the time. I got home safely. I didn't even go back to work at night. When the chef texted me, I told him what happened, and all he said was, "Holy shit." That was it. I'm happy that was the only night I had to deliver. When I was 13 years old, I had the most isolated bedroom imaginable. My room was its own separate floor, on the opposite side of the house from my parents' room. They had no way of knowing what was going on in my room. This one night, it was rainy. There was a lot of rain, but it wasn't necessarily a storm. I woke up and I saw that it was 2 o'clock in the morning. I got an uncomfortable feeling right away, but I didn't know why. Then I saw a roundish shadow at the end of my bed. I was frightened until I remembered that it was just my hat. Sometimes I hang my hat on one of the wooden poles at the end of my bed. I went back to sleep and I woke up about half an hour later and it was back. I was once again startled by the shadow until I remembered that it was just my hat. This happened one more time about another half hour later. I was once again startled by the shadow. I was getting thirsty, so I reached my hand down to the side of my bed where I keep my water bottle. But instead, I found something else. My hat. I felt my heart drop to my stomach as I fumbled around, trying to turn my lamp on. The light revealed the face of a man, staring directly into my eyes. I let out the highest-pitched scream a boy could produce. I ran past the man, down the stairs and out of my room. I felt him try to grab me, but I managed to run out of my room into my parents' room to get my dad. He got the baton from under his bed and ran out to my room. He was too late. When we got there, the window was wide open, and the man was gone. This is a very strange story that took place a few months ago. I still live in the house this happened in. So for context, I have an electrical outlet under my bed that I charge my phone with. I put my phone up on the ledge of my bed at night. I usually use my phone as an alarm, but something strange happened on a Monday night in February. I woke up to my alarm blasting. I checked out the window and it was still dark out. I looked at my real alarm clock, which was sitting on my desk. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. I wasn't sure if I had accidentally set a new alarm. The alarm was titled Down. I reset it and I went back to sleep, not overthinking it. The next night, I awoke to my alarm blasting again. I saw that it was 3 o'clock in the morning and the alarm was titled Beneath. No way I had set that alarm. I would remember something like that. I figured my brother was playing a joke on me. The next morning, I told my dad to tell him to stop playing jokes on me and that it actually interrupted my sleep on school nights. But my brother swore on his life that he never touched it. I kinda believed him. That night, I put a password on my phone and I wrote it down on a sticky note for safekeeping. I hid the sticky note on the wall behind my bed and I made sure that no extra alarms were set. The only one was set for 8 a.m. I fell asleep. Once again, I woke up to the blasting alarm clock in total darkness. 2 a.m. The alarm was titled The. I was a little freaked out now. Something was really wrong with my phone. I was sure that someone was hacking into it. The next day, I left my phone off for the whole day, and I hoped that whoever was messing with it would forget about it. That night, I used my actual alarm clock on my desk as an alarm instead. I set it for 8 a.m. When I woke up again suddenly, it was still dark. My alarm clock was off, so I couldn't see the time. It was my phone. It had been moved to the ledge. But the alarm sound was not the original marimba. It was some kind of crazy screaming sound. I turned off the alarm like usual. This one was titled Bed. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. I was laying there clueless, not knowing what to think. My phone was at 10%, so I reached down under my bed to try to find the charger, which was normally plugged there. It was missing. Then, at the worst possible time, I realized what it all meant. The 4 titles formed a sentence. Down beneath the bed. I tried to pull my arm away, but it was too late. I felt a hand grab my arm and squeeze it tight. I screamed as loud as I could, loud enough for all the neighbors to hear. I could hear my parents' door open and footsteps running to my room. My door opened and my dad came in with a baseball bat. He saw that I was being pulled under the bed. He grabbed the man under my bed and knocked him out and called the police. When the police came, we found out that he was a registered sex offender. He had been arrested 10 times. He was very messed up in the head and clearly gets pleasure from scaring his victims. I was searching for a car to buy for my son for his 18th birthday. I searched all the normal car sites. They were all overpriced as expected. Craigslist was the only place to find an actual deal. About a week or so into my search, I found a 2003 Toyota Camry with no accidents, low mileage, no damage, and for only $3,500. It seemed like a steal for such a reliable car. The seller lived about 10 miles away, which was a reasonable drive when searching for a car. I decided to give the man a call to set up a time to check it out. He introduced himself as Bob. Bob sounded normal on the phone, and he reassured me that there was absolutely no problems with the car. I brought along $3,500 in cash, even though I planned on haggling down the price as much as possible. I pulled up to the dirt road on Bob's property about 15 minutes early. It was a tiny little house within a decent-sized property. The garage was open, so I walked over to see if anyone was inside. With the exception of a fair amount of carports, it was empty. No Toyota anywhere. The only vehicle on the property was an old pickup truck. I went over to the house to check the house numbers. It was the right house. The doorbell button was missing, so I knocked on the front door. I knocked for a couple minutes before deciding to give the man a call. I dialed his number and heard the sound of a cell phone ringing from inside the house. I became extremely confused. I had the right house. I didn't understand why he wasn't answering, if he was home. I decided to peek through one of the windows to see if anyone was inside. Peering through the glass, I couldn't see much because it was so dark inside. I saw someone standing by the back door of the house, staring outside. That must have been Bob, so I knocked on the window, but he didn't even move. There was no gate or anything to the backyard. It was just a wide open property, so I walked around the house to the backyard. I couldn't understand how Bob couldn't hear me. When I got to the back door, I made a shocking realization. The figure standing by the back door was a taxidermied human being. I ran back the way I came as fast as I could to get to my car. I looked up one last time before driving off. The blinds to the window I had peeked through had been shut. However, I could see two of the blinds bent open. Someone was watching me. I put the pedal to the metal and I sped all the way home. The whole situation still makes no sense. All the car parts, the fact that there was no Toyota Camry, the taxidermied human being, all of this led me to the realization that that man wasn't planning on selling me anything. It also led to the disturbing thought that I might have become a lifeless statue staring out that man's door. This happened 3 years ago at the time I'm writing this. Me and a few buddies were on our way to New Hampshire for a vacation to a getaway home that my buddy John owns. It's in a very rural area. Why New Hampshire? Because his grandparents owned it before they passed away and he didn't want to sell it. We left late in the day, so we got there at around 7:30. We pulled onto the property and John slammed on the brakes and said, "Oh my God." John pointed at the front door, which was opened. One of my other friends, Maddie, pointed at the flashlight that you can see shining around through the window. "We gotta get the fuck out of here," I told him. What John did next surprised all of us. John stepped on the gas, approached the house, and laid on the horn for about 10 seconds. The lights inside turned off, and we were left with a dark house with the door open. "Alright, let's go," said John as he aggressively got out of the car and started approaching the house. We all followed behind. We entered the house and John started yelling like a madman. John and Maddie went to search the basement while me and the others went to search the rest of the house. Alec checked the kitchen, Amir checked the small bedroom and bathroom, and I checked the master bedroom. I was too afraid to check any of the closets. I was about to check one of the closets, and then I heard Maddie and John scream from the basement. At the same time, the closet door opened with force, and someone stepped out of the closet and grabbed me and put me in a hold. Before my other friends could get to the basement, I got their attention and they came to my aid. The man let go of me and ran out of the house. We went downstairs expecting to find more intruders, but what we found was much more disturbing. Not only were we faced with a horrendous smell, but we were greeted to the horrendous sight of 2 dead bodies. Not just 2 unwounded corpses now. These were bloody, missing limbs. Blood was splattered all over the floor. It was a mess. We all ran out of the house trying to find the man who attacked me, but it was impossible. The house was surrounded by forests. The police came. It was a huge thing, with police lines, people taking pictures and fingerprints and everything. The two victims were identified as Indian barbershop workers. The cause for their murders is, as far as I know, unknown. We were all emotionally scarred by this, at least for a while. Now, it's just a story to tell.